So my husband and I just got back from a beautiful, stunning week in Mallorca. Beautiful, sunny, the Spanish island of Mallorca. Now, as an American, I used to think, oh, people that spend a week in Spain or Italy, they must be rich. Yeah, that's completely unattainable for me. Now that we live in Germany, it is a little bit easier. It's clearly not so far. We had luck to get a pretty affordable airline. So it is more affordable now, but that doesn't mean that we're not operating on a budget. So I wanted to give you tips today on how to travel to Mallorca on a budget. We're young people, but we don't want to not be able to travel, so we're learning to live a little simpler when we're back home in Germany, and we're learning how to do our travels on a budget, but not give up on the beauty and peace of wonderful places like Majorca. So we were there for 7 nights, and we actually went for a wedding. Shout out to the bridal party and the beautiful bride and groom. It was a lovely time, but I didn't know very much about Mallorca, and I didn't have a lot of time before to plan it out. And so I just looked, where can we stay near the wedding? And of course, they booked a beautiful, beautiful wedding in an old monastery in the northern part of the island, which is the most beautiful, but it's also the most expensive. And I didn't know that. So I just looked and tried to see, okay, where can we stay near the wedding? I wasn't sure how transportation would go and everything. So we booked a beautiful room in Deià. Deià is one of the most expensive parts of the island, but we were able to do it on a budget and had a lovely time. We were there for 7 nights, and we were able to drive around the island throughout the days. Everything is very accessible in Mallorca. Deià is a small town of about 500 inhabitants. Beautiful. I imagine it would be lovely to live there. A lot of people living there are fishermen and farmers, we learned. And I think during the year they're able to do that, but during the summer months, they're overtaken by tourists and people speaking lots of different languages in their small, beautiful town. We were staying in the mountains, so our view was over the beautiful cliffside, and just a short drive, you could also access the water, which was quite lovely. Deià can be expensive, but we stayed at the beautiful hostel Villa Verde, and I can definitely recommend this. There we go, Hostel Villa Verde. Beautiful, 85 euros a night for us two. We had our own room, our own bathroom. You could also have breakfast served every morning on the terrace for 8 euros a piece. We opted not to do that, but it was a beautiful view, very traditional, lovely Spanish breakfast, I think. We opted to walk into the village each morning and go to the local bakery, which was also lovely. Best lemon tart I've ever had, made right there in this small town from a family, and we really enjoyed that. Now, a few tips. If you're going to stay in the northern part, it's beautiful for hiking, but we just wanted a beach vacation, and I didn't know that we wouldn't be close enough or close to a sandy beach. So we had to get a little creative. We weren't there for hiking. If you're there for hiking, the northern part is beautiful, wonderful to do that. So in Deià, there is a rocky beach. My first impression, I was a little shocked. What is a rocky beach? I grew up going to the Gulf of Mexico, going down to Florida, warm water, sandy beaches, lovely. Beautiful, beautiful cliff view, beautiful place right there to swim. In Deià, you have a nice little rocky beach, and you have 2 restaurants where they serve fresh caught fish, but there's no place to lounge on the sand. The first day was really difficult. I didn't have any swim shoes or anything, so we're having to crawl over these rocks to get into the water. A little bit cold. I learned you have to just jump in and just swim and tread water as fast as you can, and then it's okay. But the second time we went down to this beach, we figured out that if we enter where the boats enter, it was not that difficult. Then you have to crawl back over the rocks to get back to your belongings, but it was actually really lovely swimming there and absolutely beautiful. We have a few beaches that we can recommend. So like I said, I wanted to get to the sandy beaches, and I learned that from Deià, we could drive 45 minutes. That sounds pretty long, but it's only about 25 kilometers. It's 45 minutes because one has to drive really slowly through the mountains, but again, it's a beautiful, beautiful drive, driving along the coast for about 15 minutes from our hotel to get to one of the sandy beaches. We often went to Palma, where they have beautiful sandy beaches. That's the capital. It's also where you drive into, or fly into, I mean. Beautiful sandy beach, a little touristy, but never too crowded. And a lot going on there. If you want to party, go a little bit further down the island, lots of party bars and things, also really nice restaurants, beautiful, really accessible for German speakers. We could get around better with our German than we could our English in that area, but I could highly recommend it. Beautiful beach and big waves. I love swimming in the waves, I love floating in the waves, really lovely. That's more in the center of the island. One day we drove down to Mallorca, and that's a 45-minute drive from where we were staying to the southwestern tip, not exactly. Also a beautiful beach, I could recommend it. The waves were not as strong, a mix of sand and rock on the beach, but still where you could lay out. I actually fell asleep, took a nice little nap, had my book. It was really lovely. We found out there that it seemed to cater more to British tourists or even American tourists. There was a lot more in English there. We noticed that the restaurant served a typical British English breakfast. So that was really interesting to see. They also had British doctors, whereas in Palma, they were catering more to a German crowd. So it was a really lovely time. We really enjoyed that. Just as a tip of where to go, if you are staying on the northern part of the island and you do want a sandy beach, Port de Sóller is also, or Sóller, would also be to recommend. They didn't have such big waves, but we went there and it's a beautiful, beautiful place to walk around, lots of shops and restaurants, and they have a beach there with lots of boats and things, but plenty of room to swim, lay out, would also be really, really enjoyable. We can definitely recommend a trip to Deià, even if you're not staying there. Like I said, the hostel was lovely, but the restaurants were superb. They were absolutely superb. We had wonderful Spanish tapas at Zellini, went to a lovely Italian restaurant, best pasta I've ever had. Definitely to recommend for foodies. So Mallorca was a lovely time. We figured out how to do it on budget, like I said, 85 euros for our hostel for a few nights. We had a lovely time down there. And then every day for lunch, we were able to eat for about 10 euros. We would just get something quick. And then for dinner, we would have saved up the whole day since we ate pastries in the morning from the bakery, lunch, just a slice of pizza, burger. We could find the deals because we were trying to save money. And then for dinner, we'd be able to go somewhere nicer and do every day on a pretty typical budget. Definitely, if you have a chance to visit Mallorca, you can do it, even if you're trying to watch your bank account. So we can only recommend it. Have a good time. Let us know if you fly there. Hey guys, I forgot to mention something very important that made it possible for us to travel so cheaply even though we were driving every day. The whole week, even though every day we were driving about an hour and a half, 45 minutes in and then 45 minutes back to Deià, we never had to fill up. We traveled the whole week on one tank of gas because it wasn't a lot of kilometers and it was a beautiful drive, so we didn't mind doing the 45-minute drive every day. So that's very important. You don't have to worry about gas cost, and then you get to see as much of the island as possible, as much as you want. It's truly beautiful, and we can recommend renting with GOLDCAR. We rented with GOLDCAR, no problems the first time we ever rented a car. Wonderful time. They were very helpful, very easy, affordable, but get the full insurance just in case. But the actual renting of the car is not too expensive, and the insurance is worth it. It was a little bit more than we anticipated, but it was definitely worth it. But that's how we were able to go and travel and see all the beauty of the island and get to see and do what we want. It was worth it to travel into the city every day so that way we could eat lunch a little bit cheaper, didn't have to spend too much on gas, and then we had the tranquility during the night. So we can only recommend driving into the more touristy places during the day and then enjoying the quietness of Deià, of the prettier landscapes on the northern part with all the cliffs and whatnot, and the lovely little restaurants.